This is Chris Carmichael, so multi-talented. And a lot of people may know your music or may have seen your credits on movie scores, lots of different things, but they maybe don't know you. So who are you? Chris Carmichael.
Well, this is something with which I grapple daily. Just another guy out there making his way in the world thing.
But what you may not know, as we get into this, you're going to learn more. You have perfect pitch, which was discovered as a child. And you know, you're very fortunate because you had people around you to support you and nurture you and guide you. And that sort of made the course of your life, right?
Certainly strong influences.
Yeah.
I was lucky to have been fed with a very diverse palette of different types of music growing up as a child. My dad loved Dave Brubeck, he loved Thelonious Monk, he loved Burt Bacharach, and so that was always in the air. My brother was almost 10 years older, so he was thoroughly entrenched in the Beatles and Cream and Jimi Hendrix, and my mother was a classical enthusiast, and so it was a very wide variety of musical influences, and there I was, the sponge, soaking it all up.
Soaking it all in. But you know, you've done, and we could spend hours talking about, you know, your trajectory, you know, how you went from being in a rock band, hard rock, okay, you got a deal with Atlantic, that kind of fizzled after a while, and then you're working for a record company in New York. But you know, you never stop playing. You know, you're
true. You know, it's all a confluence. You know, when these days I do a lot of mentoring to mostly to parents who have gifted children, and they say, "Please tell me it's going to be okay." And I try to offer as much solace as I can, but it's a very circuitous route to create a true career, I think, in the music business, you know, because kids might have stardom as a goal, but stardom can be fleeting. And so I suppose I was lucky to have parlayed many of my successes in the pursuit of an artistic career into an actual music career.
So gifted, you brought up a good point about, like you say, now you're speaking with a lot of parents of gifted children. You talk about your gift, your musical gift, as sometimes a curse. Yeah?
Well, you mentioned perfect pitch, you know, for example. That's a good example of what could be called a blessing. But then again, it's also somewhat, there's some rigidity there too, and people, you know, you hear about people going, "Oh, your lawnmower's out of tune," or whatever. It's like, so really to be, I think, really a fully consummate musician, you have to unlearn gifts, and so I think a really strong relative pitch is far more important to have than perfect pitch, and so if I can think of a tone as being any letter, then you can start speaking with guitarists who are capoing their instruments, and you're never at a loss for saying, you know, we're a half step off, how do we communicate? You know?
Sweet.
Yeah.
You've got Grammys to your credit, you've done movie scores, you've made arrangements for the Boston Pops. So what's out there that you have yet to achieve?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think there's some artists that I still have. You know, I never liked the term bucket list because I fancied my vessel to be a little more elegant than a bucket. So I don't know what the vessel is, but perhaps my wine bottle list or something, I'm not sure. But there are a few artists out there that I think that I would very much like to work with. Maybe Elvis Costello or someone like that. So I'm hopeful that, you know, opportunities like that will continue to present themselves, and they do. You know, every once in a while I still get sent something that I have to take a moment and say, I have in my possession a track with Burt Bacharach, for example. You know, I singing and playing piano, and I am entrusted to write the arrangement and perform a string quartet. You know, it's surreal moments like that still happen. And in the Indian summer of my career, I suppose you'd say, I hope it's the nascent stages of the Indian summer, but I'm glad to be a white-haired old guy that's still afforded opportunities to stay viable with the kids and their parents and their grandparents.
Chris Carmichael has been joining us. You're watching Coffee Near Me. We're here at Too Many Coffees. Coffee and Eggs on Mount Victor Lane in Bowling Green. I'm Barbara Deeb, and you know you can keep that conversation going. We'd love to hear from you. And Chris, well, thanks for taking the time.
It's been a pleasure,
Appreciate
Barb.
it.
Thanks for having me. Cheers.